Hello and welcome back to the Naren Agarwal Show. We talk about truly wealthy entrepreneurship, and today I have somebody who started their own business 9 months ago, a concept that they germinated into reality. They've been featured under Radio Mirchi's recognition and ICICI Bank's recognition of 30 under 30 already. My friend Komal Bhargava. Komal, how are you?
Hi, Naren. I'm good. How are you?
I am very good. Komal, I've been to your store and I've known other people who've been to your store because we happen to be friends. You started a company called Sukham.
Yes.
So, firstly, I want to ask you, what's your vision from Sukham? What problem do you want to solve through that startup?
So I think Sukham was actually born as a concept during the pandemic. We were all at home. And at that time, when we were communicating with other people, we were realizing there were a lot of gaps in people's houses. A lot of people were not being able to have the sort of house that they would want to spend long times in. And people were suddenly also realizing the importance of having a house because offices may change, even your house externally might go on changing, you might change locations, but what is inside remains inside for most people throughout. And you need to be in a space that you're comfortable in. You should feel like, okay, I can spend hours and hours here, this is my space. So the idea really came from there. It was to create a really nice house for everyone because it's something you deserve. It's beyond just spending a few hours there. You spend your entire night there, which we don't even realize because some of us are just like resting through it, right?
True.
But you spend so much time in your house, and it should be a place of comfort and just a place where you can unwind. And it should be a nice space. And I think people were looking to have a nice space after the pandemic because they had just spent too much time in their house. And so we wanted to offer them quality. We wanted to offer people good designs. And we wanted to offer also something which was very modern and meant for contemporary houses. Because I felt like a lot of products out in the market were not practical. They might be beautiful, they might be very aesthetic, but they're not always very practical.
So, when we're talking about houses, what does Sukham do specifically? Do you help with furniture in the houses? What specific aspect of the house do you want to contribute in?
So, our goal eventually is probably to be a one-stop home solution for everyone, and so we offer a variety of products. We will cover all your wooden furniture in the house. So ranging from, dining tables to beds to bedside tables. And then we have home accessories, which would be your cushions, or we have garden furniture. We have a lot of planters, which we do. And then the goal is to do sustainable furniture because I think everything has to have a sustainable element to it now. We are at that juncture where you really can't start a business and not have it be a green business. You need to make proper initiatives that make it into a green business. And so that was something which we really, really worked hard on. And it's to have every single product that you could want in your house in one space.
Wow.
And still have it be eco-friendly, have it last a long time, and have you enjoy it.
So here's an interesting question. Like thinking about a startup, if someone asks me furniture business, I'll be very scared because it's a very asset-heavy business. As in,
Yes.
you have to invest a lot of money, procure a lot of furniture.
Yes.
Furniture is expensive, heavy, takes space. You need to have space. You need to pay rents, etc. So it's a bold step for me.
Yeah.
What inspired you as a person to get into this and solve this problem for people? Is it something that you really enjoy?
It's kind of a ridiculous story.
Okay.
So I started a life basically, like you're in 11, 12 and now they tell you humanities, science, commerce. I was really terrified of my physics teacher, so I never took up science. But my actual goal was to be an architect like my mother. So I wanted to be like her, but I was really scared of science. And I was like, no way. Because that teacher was also our physics and class teacher. So I was like, this is not going to go anywhere. And so I decided to do humanities. But the thing was, I was always fascinated with design and art. I was a very good art student. So I was like, okay, like now next, what can I do? Because like this is gone. And I was really good at writing. I was a really good English student and I enjoyed writing. So I said, okay, I will study English. I took up the one subject which almost no one takes up. It's called elective English. There were like maybe 12 people in that section, okay? So I took it up, and then it felt like the logical next step was you do English honors because now what else? I've gone on this path. After I did English honors, I realized no one comes to recruit you, right? Like nobody comes to college to be like, we'll give you a job. I could really see like my career, going downhill really fast. And my father was like, commerce hi kar leti hai. Like, what is this? Because I had signed up for placement cell and all. I was like, I can't get into academics. Who's going to take me seriously?
Yeah.
And then I went into advertising. Obviously, I really enjoyed my stint in advertising. I really, really had a good time.
I know you worked with Zomato, right?
Yes, I worked for a bit for that. And then I worked with agencies. I freelanced. So I got a lot of exposure in that world. And then I went to do my master's. Unfortunately, my master's coincided with COVID, which is when I came back. And I had been working with my mother all throughout. All these years I had worked with her in whatever scope she would like let me. Because also I'm not an architect, like how much is she even going to say? But I really enjoyed color theory. I was good with things like that. Ever since a kid, like I have been very attracted to, for lack of a better term, beauty. Like every time there was something really like beautiful or really pretty, I would just be like, I would just be like, this is mine. Like this I need to have.
Yeah.
I was that person. You could be like, okay, you can buy anything at a mall. I would walk the entire mall and then come out with like one tiny locket or something.
Wow.
Because I'd be like, this is the only thing I like.
And so you mentioned auntie was an architect.
Yes.
So you've been in homes and spaces. You've been seeing
Homes,
that.
She took me to like sites when I was like a 4-5-year-old child. Like
buildings and things being constructed.
The mistries, the carpenters. Now they're like, what do we do to entertain this child? Like 5-year-old child has come. There's no fan. There's no AC on these sites. You're not exactly chilling. And it's not like everyone had phones and like laptops in those days that you were just like, keep this child busy. No. There had to be actual physical entertainment. So, and I don't know whether this was like safe or not. They taught me, they used to be like, we've given you nails and this is a baby hatauda and a block of wood. Isko andar thoko.
Isko andar maro.
This is how you do this is how you thoko.
तो अब तो furniture बनाना तभी start कर दिया.
तभी शुरू हो गया था at 5-6 years old. I should have realized. I was like making Lego के साथ some furniture pieces and all. तो यहाँ पे तो मैं ठोक रही होती थी. Screwdriver ऐसे use करती है. You're teaching a 5-6-year-old child all this. Where do you think this is going to go in the future? So I think actually the journey started way back then. It just found its own path. Even though I went into different directions. I picked up different skills of writing, of presenting my material a certain way, of graphic designing, which is something which I took up while I was advertising. So I think design kept coming into my life in some part or the other. Even in school, we had like a huge production. I was part of the art department. I didn't have art as a subject, but I was part of the art department. I was making, it was under the sea, okay? So we were making like these gigantic fish and waves and all those things. And I was happily painting a wave.
Wow.
And then finally you do the girls' makeup in all of those fancy, it was really nice. Mermaid fish and peacock.
It sounds awesome because it sounds like there was a need that you saw during COVID and people wanted prettier homes because they were spending more time. And then you saw like, what you're interested in. You've been to these sites, you're into furniture, into aesthetics. So I think it's a great combination of something that you saw. And I think that's what entrepreneurship is about. Seeing what a problem out there. There are so many problems out there. But then something that I am aligned with and I want to solve. And you took that up. So that's amazing. It's great that you found that combination and merged those two things, your interest and what's needed out there. Now coming, it's been about how many months? 8-9 months since you started, right? what are those challenges that you really face that you didn't expect before you started?
I didn't expect it to be such a maybe male-dominated society, area. But it's only once you start working you realize all the factory owners are men, all of them pretty much. So I don't know what happened. I started gravitating towards working with more women because I would feel like a lot of people also think that I'm really young. So sometimes they don't take you as seriously. But it doesn't necessarily equate because I feel like you can be young, but you're also addressing the problems that the youth is facing. I'm not necessarily addressing issues which the older generation might face.
Correct.
So I feel like it's a mix. I think age gets in the way quite a bit.
You're right. When I started off, like, I used to consciously keep a beard so that people perceive me as a little older and take seriously what I'm offering and what I'm proposing.
I used to wear heels
Yeah.
to look a little bit taller, or I started, dressing a little bit older. Because I used to think that, okay, now like this person needs to take me seriously, but then those heels really hurt. So after a point, I gave up. I was like, it's not worth it.
Next
it's okay.
birthday, heels off.
Yeah.
अब मैं बड़ी हो चुकी हूँ.
I feel like लंबी तो मैं होने नहीं वाली. Age मेरी increase भी हो जाए, so this is pointless. छोड़ दो.
So very interesting. So you started seeing कि ये male dominated है, so you gravitated towards women, as in when you saw women in this industry,
Yeah.
you wanted to work more with them.
Yeah.
Okay.
And women working with each other in the industry have a beautiful relationship.
How so?
It's very seamless. Like you will have to just say this and it'll be done, and I don't have to do a million follow-ups. They're very like respectful of you.
Hey, that's sexist. You're saying you have to. Men are not efficient at their.
I think they don't take you seriously, right? So
okay,
they're just like, okay, whatever. ये ऐसी ही बोल रही है, इसका काम पहले करने की जरूरत नहीं है, किसी और का पहले कर लेते हैं. And it's not until you bring in actual business.
Very interesting.
Until you're like, okay, I have sold so much, I need more of this, that they suddenly wake up to the fact that, oh my God, like there's something happening here.
Very interesting. So your suppliers, they weren't taking you as seriously, and when you got business, they were like, oh my God, like this is real stuff. Like, you know, we can't take her lightly.
Yeah. So my suppliers, they were also supplying in Bangalore. Okay. And Bangalore is that kind of city where you would sell this stuff. Honestly, even today, I get a lot of calls from Bangalore. It's a city with a lot of young people making good money, disposable income hai, and they want to have nice houses now.
Nice.
So many of them work from home also, especially in the IT sector and stuff. So they are fully able to invest into their houses. They want to have a nice desk that if they're working on it for hours and hours, or many of them work from the bed, they're willing to invest in it. So these people used to supply to a separate person in Bangalore, and it didn't take off. They had that space over there for about 2 years, 2.5 years. They barely sold, you can count. They've told me only this, that they could count on their hand how many pieces they had sold. Meanwhile, we had already sold within a few months a number of items, big items, not the small ones. We were selling beds and sofas and good quality stuff and making more money. And immediately after a point, they realized after, the first few, like, I was like, okay, I need this, and like, please send this across. This is the finish. They were like, oh, like, so the beds are moving. I was like, yeah, the beds are moving. The beds have got to move. So obviously, like, over here, you have to find somebody. I may be an entrepreneur, but at the end of the day, I'm also a salesperson.
Yeah.
I have to sell the concept that I have to people, and then I have to sell them on the actual product itself.
Dude, I just want to take 1 second to say this is so true. As an entrepreneur, you have to be a salesperson, not just to your customers, but also to the people working with you. You have to show them कि boss, हम जो कर रहे हैं उसमें value है. You have to be a salesperson to your suppliers. If you...
They have to see the value in being with you or like tying up with you.
Exactly.
So you're constantly trying to like be accountable to numerous people and then rise up to the occasion. And I feel like that is a age-related thing. It's an experience-related thing. I don't know whether it's a good thing or a bad thing, but I think it's a process. Even I would do it. So fair enough, if I have to show that I'm worthy of doing this.
Mhm.
I'm proving it to them, I'm proving it to my customers, but also to myself. I have to be able to tell myself, okay, like, I've done this, I can do this. Because nobody knows whether they're going to be a good entrepreneur when they start being one. Just because it's not something that you can prep for in school or college.
Yeah.
You can maybe do like a, like some temporary run at it.
Correct.
With some societies and all. I know they do it. But it's not something you really know.
Yep.
It's
So true.
try and test.
I have a follow-up question to that. क्या आपको कभी imposter syndrome feel हुआ? By the way, for those who don't know, imposter syndrome क्या होता है कि हमको कभी कभार ऐसा लगता है कि हम जहाँ हैं क्या हम डिजर्व करते हैं, क्या वहाँ हमारा होना सही है कि नहीं. क्या आपको imposter syndrome feel हुआ है through this journey? Have you felt that?
शुरू में हाँ, obviously, because my mother is an architect. And a lot of people would ask शुरू में क्या अभी भी पूछते हैं कि are you doing this with your mother? Because उनको लगता है that connection makes sense कि ये साथ में कर रहे हैं, okay, इसका क्या background है to do this?
हाँ.
Because so much of the work I did with my mother was behind the scenes. There was never a point where they saw me interacting with them or
True.
with the furniture or the pieces. Or when they did see me, I would have been in their eyes always her daughter. So they're always thinking, okay, like maybe it's something they're doing together. They tell my mother even now, oh, aapka showroom hai. And my mother's like, it has nothing to do with me.
Correct.
वो मेरे से पूछती भी नहीं है कई बार when she makes
Correct.
decisions.
Correct.
And why will I?
Correct.
Right? She runs her own business. I run my own business. My father runs his own business. And my sister luckily is still studying. We don't know where this is going. So this is, I think, something which I did experience. शुरू में मैंने बहुत खुद को भी question किया कि हो सकता है नहीं हो सकता है कर रहे हो, पर मैंने कहा किसको पता होता है? Nobody knows.
So true.
So maybe it was impulsive, but I was like, let's just go for it. What do I have to lose? Some money, sure. I will make my investments and put it into this. I have kept that in mind. I knew how much I can at least recover from it.
Wow.
And then I decided to make the investment, right? Because
Very cool.
Furniture, like you said, is a heavy asset in which you invest. But it also has, like, you're not going to get furniture for the same price as you get a cake. So people go in knowing that furniture costs a certain amount.
महंगा तो है, चलेगा.
हाँ. अगर आप ये मैं सेंटेंस काफी बार लोगों को बोल चुकी हूँ, अगर आप वेडिंग लहंगा खरीद सकते हो and it is worth a few lakhs, आप बिस्तर खरीद सकते हो.
You know what the funny thing is, मैंने कहीं देखा है, पढ़ा है, read it, कि people spend 8 hours on average on their bed but will compromise for few money for poor quality.
Yeah.
But और कहीं कहाँ खर्च करते हैं. And poor quality bed, मतलब मैंने सुना है कि it can be very bad for your health, like mattresses.
Something which I really get upset about, which I get asked a lot, right? Indians are by and large hoarders.
Correct.
Sorry. Okay, but we are.
वो चीजें इकट्ठा करके उसको रखने में पसंद आता है.
हमारा बहुत sentimental हमारी
It's a very middle class value ना. कूपन्स रखो,
तो सबको स्टोरेज
रख दो.
सबको चाहिए कि हमारे बेड के नीचे में स्टोरेज हो. हाँ, उसमें रहता जो भी है वो कभी निकलता नहीं है. It never comes out. Like maybe you use it like once a year, maybe lesser.
So true.
Let's just be honest, okay? But it's actually really bad for you, because what happens is you trap heat in any space when you do that. When you stuffed it with stuff, it traps heat. That heat radiates through your body every night as you sleep, or when you work on the bed. Sundays, I mean, like, try getting most people out of their beds. So you're spending so much time in that space that heat travels through.
Wow, I never knew this.
Yeah, and that's really not a good thing. So while you're getting some extra storage to hold stuff, you're really negatively impacting your body. So people I've seen compromise on mattresses. Also, we'll get a cheap one. Oh, I can get it for this much. Think about your body, yeah. Why are you putting yourself through this? You'll buy a fancy phone, or you'll buy a fancy laptop. You know it's not going to last more than what, 2-3 years. Most people actually change their phone every year,
So true.
and they'll buy the fancy latest new phones. They're not cheap, you know. A bed costs lesser. At least think about investing into a good space for like that for yourself. That bed is going to last you an easy like 25 years if you don't want to change the design. The
Correct.
bed will last longer.
Correct.
The bed will last like 80-90 years. And
That's a very interesting
No.
insight. Komal, by the way, like I
Yeah.
want to share a thought that we were speaking about
Yeah.
in regards to imposter syndrome. Even I felt that, especially when I was starting my podcast, etc. Okay, we see people from afar and like, uska podcast है, मैं भी बना सकता हूँ क्या? Can I do it? But what you said is so true. कि like करने का है, किसको क्या पता? Let's just go for it.
I think we are too like caught up in like ये क्या सोचेगा, वो क्या सोचेगा. After one point, I was like, सोच लेने दो ना. Let them think whatever they want to think. So many people have had so many thoughts about you, about me, all throughout our lives. Now I can't keep getting caught up in it. I want to try stuff out. I'm still young. I can afford to. I had complete support, which is very important. That I think is like number one. I had so much support from my family who were like, go for it. And I knew if it doesn't work out, I'll know in 2-3 years. Before I'm 30, I can still go back to an office and be like, you know what, I tried this, it didn't work out. Please hire me back as writer. I can always say those things and get away with it a little bit. So I was like, कर लेते हैं.
Komal, this is a asset heavy business, like you said.
Yeah.
So like how many products do you have, and how much inventory do you carry?
We have over 500 products.
500 products. That's
Yes.
crazy.
Yes. And that's also because, let's say we have a chair. It comes in about 6 to 7 different finishes. So that's one dining chair. We will have close to 7-8 designs of it. We have about 7-8 beds that we offer. They'll come in king size, queen size. Then they come in different finishes. Finishes would be the different colors on the bed, right? So we, for instance, don't customize. We have standardized furniture for everybody. We follow the Italian and the Scandinavian concept of doing that. And that leads to us having a number of products. So planters, you have them in so many different sizes, the same product. So the inventory is huge.
Exactly.
The inventory is huge, and you have to invest because these are spaces where people want to come, they want to try, they want to test the product, they want to touch it. And a lot of our products, while we do sell online, people like to see and touch.
True.
And we are a new business and we have to let people do it. It's very difficult for us to, when we do online orders, to offer returns. This is something, I saw very recently on a page. I don't know if you've heard of it. It's an Instagram page. It's called Diet Sabya. Have you heard of that? Oh my God. So Diet Sabya is a very, very popular Instagram page. And they would talk about fashion usually. And one particular post that I saw them put up was saying brands that only have Instagram stories or only have details given in their pages and don't offer returns, you should not be buying from them. They're usually scams. And I was a little bit shocked because what happens is that while you can return clothes, you can return jewelry, those are small items. The shipping charge on those items is not a lot. When I decide to ship a bed to you, it is like 20 kgs easy, right?
Correct. And shipping charges
And
are not
huge.
just by weight, it's volumetric as well.
And
Bed is
even though
very
our beds
lot of
come
volume.
dismantled and you can, put it together,
Correct.
it's still huge.
Correct.
Like, if I send one headboard, it's at least, you're talking about like a 5 feet by 3 feet approximately. A headboard, that's a queen size. If you want a king size, it's 6.5 feet.
Correct.
So we're looking at a lot of volume. How is it possible for us to do returns when we are spending so much on shipping? It's such a huge
That's
loss.
a big challenge.
Yeah. So if you want to be able to do a return, you have to bear the expense.
Yeah.
There's a reason we put out all the sizes on the website. There's a reason we put out all the finishes. We want you to make informed decisions. If you are in Calcutta, we want you to be able to come into the store and make your choices. But for you to take a product when it has been made for you, because we're a sustainable brand, we're not making mass products. We're literally doing the finishes according to you. We might have, like, let's say the bed in king and queen size, हमने 3-4 बनाए हैं. But the final finish of the polish happens once you tell us you want this finish.
Correct.
So after that, to get a return done is like,
this is very interesting.
Impossible.
We think everything can be digital, Yevo, but slowly I think everybody is realizing you need a combo of both. You need digital and brick and mortar. Look at Lenskart, right? The dude comes on Shark Tank,
yeah,
Mr. Piyush Bansal.
yes.
So they have a lot of website. They had like this traffic, but then they realize, okay, we need to be in store as well. And I think that combo works so well. Nika.
They started
Exactly.
online and then ultimately open brick and mortar stores because people do want to test stuff. They do want to go out and they want to see it, especially if it's something that they feel like they're going to spend money on. And I think it's a good practice. I don't see anything wrong with it. I actually feel like with more things going digital, people have moved into such an unsustainable lifestyle because they're like, हाँ हम मंगा लेते हैं फिर वापस चले जाएगा. Think about how much shipping you're costing somebody else. Think about that transportation that's going up and down. The concept of easy returns, I think courtesy, mostly Amazon, has become such an easy thing to do that you're like, okay, I'll buy it. How does it matter? I've seen people buy stuff, hide the tags, wear it out, and then like return it. And that's gross. Like, I don't want to go back there and buy stuff anymore, So the result is that I think people have gone, it was a good concept. And then people just take it to an extreme where it's not practical then for small businesses. I to really encourage कि please सब measure कर लो. If you come into the store, I open the product in front of you to show you that it is fine from our end. If there is shipping to be done to somebody's house after the product has come to us, I usually go and do it myself. Because at this stage I can.
Correct.
There is that thing.
Correct.
But if it gets shipped online, there's no way I can check on the product. But obviously I don't want you to return it.
Yeah.
Like take some time, think about
It's
whether you want it or
exactly
not. Yeah, take your time. Order later, but please don't return it.
Yeah.
Unless we give you a damaged product, in which case we'll only take it back, which is like obvious.
Correct.
But
it's like a very interesting point you say that a lot of us, we don't realize these hidden costs. When we start a business like this, आप online business start करते हो, then we are like, अच्छा इतना sale हो रहा है, but 1 month, 2 months later, that return might kick in. So you have to create plans and preventions to save that return being, because your profit is gone then. All that function is gone.
And it's more so an Indian concept. A lot of companies in the UK or UK, just because I studied there, would not do easy returns. The return was a pain. It's not like they came to your house and did a return. You went to the post office, God knows wherever, how far it was, paid for the parcel, whatever to be putting out, and that was for clothes. It's not even for, bulky pieces. And then you went and made the return. They haven't made this process easy. We have. And because we have, people now expect it. They don't trust you to be a reliable brand if you aren't offering all this. So, I mean, pros and cons. So, we have a store. I tell everyone, you don't trust us, come here. I can do video calls and appointments. If you take an appointment, we'll do a video call. We'll show you everything.
Nice.
So that we're a reliable brand. But there's beyond that, you have to meet us also a little bit midway.
Correct.
Because we're so young. Correct. How else do we navigate this?
Komal, a lot of what we speak about in the show is like about creating truly wealthy entrepreneurs. So what is wealth according to you?
That's a very tricky question. Wealth, financially, I really don't want to say anything too much on because I've never experienced my family ever saying no to me for anything. Though we didn't typically start off as the most well-off family. My grandparents are doctors. It's not one of those most lucrative businesses. My father does his own business now, but even he worked for someone else first. So it's not like life always started off with us having enough disposable incomes for my parents to tell me, okay, you go start your own business. You know, that is a privilege that I have for sure. So financially, I don't know about wealth. And what it should mean to me. I feel like as long as I'm comfortable, it's all good.
Yeah.
Right? And obviously, comfort for everyone means different things. I shouldn't be outrageous about my comfort demands. Like that, there is a line, right? Comfortable can mean many different things. I definitely I'm not thinking I want to fly private everywhere, and that's a comfortable life. No, but wealth for me also is just the privilege that I've had of being able to choose what I want to do. And not have anybody tell me no, you can't do it because of financial reasons, or you have to make money at this point because your family needs you to. A lot of people I studied with, especially in Xavier's, I think came from different backgrounds, because Xavier's offers various quotas to people. They come in from different backgrounds. You're all in that same atmosphere. So a lot of people used to feel the stress of making money. Now, for me, it was very different, because before this, I had never been in these situations or been around people who felt that way. Most of us, including you, come from a fairly privileged background. But when I saw people not taking up things that they maybe wanted to do and instead choosing a job which would pay them good money, I realized this is my real privilege. The fact that I can be let me experiment with my jobs. Let me experiment between science and humanities क्योंकि मुझे डर लग रहा है. My fear allowed me to be like, Acha, you don't need to become this. You don't need to become an engineer. You can become this. The fact that I can say I want to study outside, and I don't have to have loans to look forward to. I don't have to get a job to pay back those loans. I can choose to leave a job in the UK and come back to India to start my own thing. Is privilege. Most people would consider someone like me crazy for doing that. Who leaves a job in UK to come back? Honestly, I would have saved nothing while working there. It's like anybody who actually does the math, do it. You save nothing.
Yes,
once
so
you're
true.
spending in those pounds, once you're spending in that lifestyle, you cannot.
Correct.
Here, I had the privilege of coming back home and my parents being like, "ठीक है, घर पे रह लो. Do your own thing. We will handle that part for you."
Correct.
Because in the beginning, as an entrepreneur, you also don't make any money.
Correct. So true.
This is the part no one tells you about. You make zero money in the beginning because you're busy paying staff. You're busy crying about rents. You're busy crying about everything. So you never make any actual money.
True.
But the fact that I'm getting fed, I have a place to stay. I in this extreme heat wave have an air-conditioned room. They're all wealth and privilege.
Wow.
Signs, and I feel like that's when you really know.
I love that answer, Komal. Wealth for you is having the ability to make a choice.
Yeah.
Not out of foundation ki I cannot make it because मेरे पास financial freedom नहीं है. So in a way, it's like financial freedom, right? The ability to choose because your survival is covered.
Yeah.
That's a very noble definition, and thank you for sharing that insight.
Thank you.
Komal, thanks for being on the show. Anything you want to
you.
say finally, or any questions you have for me?
Oh God. I want to ask you, why did you start the podcast?
I started the podcast because of multiple reasons.
Yeah.
One thing is, I saw the 21st century. We have this medium to share with so many of us. We, as somebody who come with brown skin, have the ability to speak to the world, which was not possible even 50, 60, 70 years ago.
Yeah.
And so that was one big inspiration for me. The other thing was that I felt I had some value to share with others, some insights, some ways that I have looked at life that others would enjoy or benefit out of. So So I think these were the two reasons that I started. And the third thing is I wanted to do something new and fun. It was kind of an adventure thing. I was like, let's do it. Why
No
not?
harm.
No harm. Like you said, exactly.
Yeah.
So
It's easy.
That's the
Yeah, I
reason.
was always curious because I would watch them.
Yeah.
I was like, but what made him start?
and finally,
It's not the
you're
most
here
conventional thing.
in our new studio doing a live
I love
podcast.
it. Maybe it needs some renovation.
It does. It does.
But it's all
It's
good.
a work in progress. But you know what I said? Let's just start. Like, we have things to do, etc.
Yeah.
But I was like, let's start recording.
No, I think
and
it's
we'll
lovely.
build it up.
It's lovely. Once you make your renovations, call me.
Yes, I will need you. Thank you,
Yeah,
Komal.
okay,
Thank you
chalo.
so much.
See you.
Founder of Sukham, Komal Bhargava. Hello and welcome again. I hope you really enjoyed this podcast. If you did, share it with one person that you can help. Jisko isse madad mile. And if you like this podcast, you want such more insightful information and knowledge, check out the other podcasts right here. I will see you very soon in another episode.